Pokemon games have been ridiculed fairly heavily in recent years. I've been a fan since Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and I don't remember as much negativity on Pokemon games back then. I was also like 9 at the time, so the fact that my brain wasn't fully formed could be the culprit. Negativity exploded when Sword and Shield came out for the Switch, and rightfully so. The game was the first to set in place the standard of not having every Pokemon be obtainable and transferable to the new games. It didn't look or run the best either. Sword and Shield was the culmination of generic Pokemon games, and I couldn't even bring myself to finish it. I had to have my friend Tamden finish it for me. It was a severe letdown for the first ever mainline Pokemon game on a home console. Scarlet and Violet definitely have their issues, but I feel like they're mostly held back by presentation, and recently one of their biggest issues was addressed in the Switch 2 version. It actually runs at a stable frame rate now. Lag was a huge issue if you've played it on the Switch 1. This is what made me finally want to check out this game and see if it's worth playing. Is it worth playing? I'm getting to it. Hold your damn horses. Scarlet and Violet is very easy to shit on, so I'm gonna front load this video with what's glaringly wrong so I can get to the good juicy stuff. While the frame rate issue is solved, the game still doesn't look the best. They seem to have not fixed the draw distance issue, and I noticed pop-in and low level of detail models all over the place. You can tell this game suffers from being developed for the Switch 1, and Game Freak not knowing how to utilize the hardware very well. If this was such an issue, I don't know why they didn't try stylizing the world instead of going the realistic Breath of the Wild route. Could've looked a lot better. The player character looking like they were weaned off of breast milk 5 minutes ago was definitely a strange choice. Every new Pokemon game now has to have a generational gimmick, and this time around it happens to be one called terastallization. This allows every Pokemon to become a different monotyping with a click of a button. This definitely shakes up the game and allows some Pokemon with not so great typings to be a bit more usable. I'm whatever about this concept. It can be both fun and frustrating, which I guess is true for every past generational gimmick. My main issue with terastallization is how dumb this looks. I avoided using it for most of my playthrough because of how it turns every Pokemon into a goofy, ritzy glass sculpture. I don't have an artsy bone in my body, so I don't know how else they could convey the type change besides maybe like an aura like they do in Cobblemon and a symbol next to the Pokemon health bar to show what type it changed into. This game also has the most confusing progression out of any Pokemon game I've played. I understand that this is supposed to be an open world game and you can do any of the main 3 stories in any order you want. The issue with this is that you can end up doing a lot of one of the stories, getting to a high level, then you have to go do the other 2 stories eventually to beat the whole game, so you'll end up being over-leveled and one-tapping everything in your path. In-game, from what I've looked into, there's not even a hint of what order to take on the story quests in. I am playing this game a few years late, so by now there are helpful level guides, which I followed, so I was never too over-leveled for any of the main story quests. If you are to ever play this game, this is how you should do it. I find it very funny that Pokemon games were criticized for being too handholdy and too linear, then they made this clusterfuck of a map and told you to go nuts. The story is as nothing as always, and your hand may end up cramping from spamming the A button over and over again to mash through the useless dialogue that everyone spews out. The start of Violet took me almost an hour to mash through to truly start the game. The last negative mark against Scarlet and Violet has to be the crafting of TMs and how they are limited use once again. I really hope that video games move away from arbitrarily shoving crafting into anything with a slightly open world. It works in Minecraft because it's a goddamn sandbox game and the entire game revolves around it. Elden Ring didn't need it, and Pokemon certainly does not. Now with all that gross, green, nasty, negative stuff out of the way, let's get on to the positives. This game builds off of what Legends Arceus set up with an open world Pokemon game and brings that to the mainline series. You can see Pokemon out in the wild and catch whatever you see around you without random encounters. This is how I caught my first legit shiny. Oh! What the fuck? I also caught a Snorunt. This game also does not have line of sight trainers besides the fights that happen when you are completing the story. I love them turning these 2 previous series staples into optional encounters, so you don't have to take wide detours around grass and NPCs to avoid mandatory battles. In most battles in this game, you're able to move around the camera all over the place, which is a very nice touch. The on-the-fly PC management, relearning moves, and changing moves is also a very nice quality of life change. I was doing this constantly during my playthrough. Making your Pokemon optimal is also easier than ever in this game with mints to change natures and ability patches to get hidden abilities. If you know what you're doing, you can fairly consistently get the exact items you need to train your Pokemon up. This is in the second DLC released for Scarlet and Violet, and as of this video, hasn't been patched out, so you might as well go nuts with it. This game has a ton of content between the 3 storylines. This game took me over 20 hours to get through, and I still haven't gotten through it all. I still haven't beaten the second DLC as of this video. The first DLC is set on this mountain, and I really enjoy the small town look of the main hub area. The second DLC is in a huge underwater biodome and is basically another small open world to explore. The first DLC was actually kinda challenging for me and my team towards the end, which made it a lot more fun to try and beat. In all, I really enjoyed my time with this game and the team I ended up beating the game with. I'd like to thank a viewer who, during the streams, gifted me some team members I wasn't able to get in the main game. I can't confirm these guys are legit, but I don't really care because I'm not going to use these guys competitively and I just wanted some cool team members. See you around. Bye. Hey, like, subscribe and stuff. Okay, bye.